Hello everyone and welcome back. I hope that you guys have been doing well as of late. I definitely wanted to give myself a little bit of a break after I got done with my videos from, this was back in January, I believe, when I concluded Season 3 of Mortal Kombat 1 Invasions, and I really wanted to give myself like a refresh when it comes to my energy, when it comes to my creativity and whatnot. And I really felt like Invasions kind of took a lot out of me, because there was just a lot of repetition when it comes to playing that game mode and, you know, coming up with the sorts of things I was coming up with to really keep the creativity and the fun factor of it alive. It took its toll, I'd say, after a while. It was a very big time investment with that, and I knew that I wanted to take some time to kind of refresh myself and give myself a break, you know, along with what I was going through when it comes to, you know, just doing a normal work schedule. So after about a month, we're talking, this was around the beginning of February, I kind of got an opportunity, you can say a last minute opportunity through work, that allowed me to travel to go to Florida to help out a distribution center that was struggling with a new program that they were utilizing for their work. And this was an opportunity to travel for free, to board for free as well, and meals were also paid for. So it was a great experience in that aspect of it. It gave me an opportunity to go to, you know, a place that I had not been to before, being able to kind of explore things down there while being held to a very strict work schedule. This was really no vacation. This was a 6-day work week for what was intended to only be for a month or 5 weeks. They gave us an opportunity to extend to have some more time down there. So I was originally going to come back at the beginning of April and, you know, get myself back into things a little bit sooner, but I realized that this was going to give me an opportunity to have more time down there, build more knowledge with what I was doing on the work side of things, and, you know, you can say christen my experience to be able to learn what I was learning down there while getting used to the workflow of working 6 days a week and trying to figure out, you know, all that I can take in as far as, you know, what I got into down there. So, you know, aside from getting myself used to a 6-day work schedule, at the same time, you know, being able to drive myself, you know, to and from destinations, I really wanted to take the opportunity to explore other things. And it was nice to kind of have the freedom to drive and not really so much like be, you know, penalized. It's just, you know, taking the opportunity out of the one day that I had to see things that, you know, I really wanted to see. And I definitely took full advantage of it. When I was in Florida, it was in a place called Brooksville, and it was about maybe like 30-40 minutes from the Gulf on the west side. It was about, I think, about an hour from Orlando. So, you know, there was definitely a lot of opportunity to take advantage of being able to see things that I had not seen since 2009. I had not been to Florida since 2009, and the only area that I had been to in the few times that I was there was Orlando and Daytona Beach. And on my days off, I went to a few different places. I went to Clearwater to get a view of the Gulf of Mexico for the first time in a while, getting to see the beach down there. It was a very enjoyable time. Got to go to this mom and pop's pizza shop that had this amazing stromboli, homemade just ingredients. It was fantastic. I wanted to have an opportunity to see the sunset on the Gulf, because I've never gotten to see a spectacle like that before. But the stromboli was just too delicious that I had to order myself another one. It took them a little bit to get everything together. I think I had mozzarella cheese, I had pepperoni, I had sausage, and it was just amazing. So after ordering the second one, of course I was a little bit too late to see the sun go into the Gulf, so I got just the tail bit end of it, but it was nice just being able to walk up and down the coast, just kind of seeing people just interact with each other. It was a little rough at first, trying to park, just because it was on a Saturday, and it was early afternoon when I got there. Or did I think I might have arrived, I think around like 3:30 p.m. or 4, and parking was it was rough, just trying to get over there, because it's a nice Saturday afternoon. Everybody is wanting to get out and do things, and that was definitely the place to go and do those things, so it was just nice, just seeing people out and about, and just really, getting to see that side of Florida, for the first time. So I definitely enjoyed that. And then, week 2, I think this was like week 2. I think this was week 2. So like the first week that I was there, I just took some time to kind of get used to the work schedule, because we were working about an hour later than what we usually do. And, I felt that it was smart to just get a hold of the work schedule and getting a hold of my sleep. That way I would be able to better attune my circadian rhythm to that schedule, so I am able to, function normally and be able to get myself used to doing things in that fashion down there. And I'd say once I got a hold of that, that's when I started to kind of use my one off day to actually do some travel stuff. So I think week 2, I went to Clearwater, and then week 3, I think, is when I cooked. I can't really remember off the top of my head very, very well. I think I cooked and I stayed in to give myself just that bit of rest that I was able to get. And then into week 4, I think, is when I visited family in Crystal River, and that was a very enjoyable time. I had not seen some of them in a few years, and it was nice to actually, go to them and see their property and just see how peaceful and beautiful it was out there. Catching up with them when it comes to, our daily lives and activities. That was, great to take some of that time to go down there and do that with them, because they've come up a few times here and there, to my home state, and visited my grandparents during the holidays, and that's about the only time that I've had to be. That's the only time I've been able to actually visit with them and whatnot. So it was nice to take that opportunity to go about maybe 45 minutes out of my way to actually go to them and see everything out there. And I just have to tell you that the drive to and from locations down there in Florida was just it was just so nice to take in, just the green flatland, the moss trees, the vast farmlands, a lot of untouched green land down there with just wild animals, all throughout, and it was just very enjoyable, just from a driving perspective, to be able to witness all that. So week 5 was the original week I was actually supposed to come back, but they gave us an opportunity to extend to help for a little bit longer. In so doing, I decided to stretch my adventures out a little more, and I drove down to Miami to see that for the first time. It was actually something I was kind of joking about at first, because when this work trip was presented, it was presented through other areas in the distribution center, and I just threw out a little bit of a joke to my manager about, hey, what's going on with the Florida trip? Are we packing up or whatever? And they decided that this was the opportunity for us as well, if we wanted to go. So with the opportunity to have the freedom to drive as long as we were responsible and made it to work on time, I just decided to just totally just go out left field and make this trip down there. So from Brooksville to Miami Beach, it was about 5 hours. Once you get once I was getting close to the Miami-Dade County area, that's when traffic started to kind of build up a little bit. And of course, this is a Saturday. It is a perfect blue sky, no rain, no distorted weather of any kind. So how busy traffic in and out of that town is going to be during those moments. I left at around 8, or was it 7? I think I might have left around 7:30 that day, and I got down there I got down in the area around 1:30. Where I was parking was at a parking garage, which was a few blocks from where I was staying the night. And let's see, we got 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10, 11, 12, 1. So maybe it was 8. Maybe it was 8 o'clock. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I can vaguely remember that it definitely didn't take more than 5.5 hours to get there. But once I did, it was just nice to walk around and actually see everything in the flesh, for the first time. The only time I had ever seen Miami was in Driver 3, and I think, probably a few other games. Miami was also in Driver 1 as well. And it was so cool because I had noticed certain landmarks and certain areas that I had been to in the game. There is this one section in Driver 1 and I think in Driver 3 where I was always ramp the car. I would always ramp the car over this bridge, and it's just so funny walking those same bridges down there and, just seeing some of the sites that I had only seen in the games. These two particular hotels that are lined across Mid Beach to North Beach in Miami. Seeing those for the first time, it's just oh, that's in Driver 3, so that was just so fun. And the diversity of people in that town, even in the Brooksville area too. It was just so nice to see such a mix of people and just a variety of different cultures, and it was nice and it was eye-opening, and definitely something that I just I can't forget. Definitely it takes me back to when I went to LA and just seeing so many different kinds of people and cultures just mixed in one city. It's just so great to be able to experience that for the first time, because you're just looking and you're just seeing and hearing people having conversations, and you kind of have those first looks when you see people for the first time, you kind of wonder a little bit, and then when you hear them talk, it's you don't even expect it at all. You're wow, I did not expect them to be foreign or anything, because they just, some of them just look so much like us. And it was just very cool, especially to walk on the boardwalk going up and down the Miami Beach area. Just seeing so many kinds of people just walking, running. You saw people on bikes, people on longboards, people just, really showing their confident side, because they, how many people are coming in and out of there. Beautiful women, we'll just say it, beautiful men, just so many kinds of people. So, people are going to be up and down there, flaunting, their confidence and their physique as they go through, their daily routine of their exercise, of their out and about, walking up and down the beach line. And it was just so cool to see that and experience all that. And I walked from where I was staying was at Mid Beach, and I walked all the way to the South Point Pier, and a little bit further beyond that, just one way. That was 4 miles. This was after a like 5 to 5.5 hour drive, and I had probably maybe like 5 hours plus of sleep. This energy that just continues to carry me, because I'm telling myself, it's like, I know that I got to get through this, and I want to get through this, and I want to just be very awake and alert and alive during these moments, so I can freely experience them in such a positive way. And I felt like that's just what really just had me going, because I knew that if I could see as much as I can see during the limited time I have down here, I can say, hey, I went and did that, I went and did this, I saw these things and experienced that. And that's what I really took from that experience. And after the beach walk, coming back, like I said, it was 4 miles one way, 4 miles back, so it was an 8-mile walk. I'm going back up to the little hotel room, and actually, my room was supposed to originally overlook the ocean from just like it was about a block away, so you get a little bit of an ocean view with some side buildings like in the mix. But for whatever reason, they actually had my room on the other side, and it was actually facing the skyline, so that was like really cool. And the city was probably about, I don't know, maybe like 10 miles away, maybe a little bit further than that, so you could still see like quite a bit of the city from like where I was facing. And I'm just like sitting there, just kind of resting up, kind of figuring out like what food I'm gonna get for the night. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm kind of telling myself, I don't know if I want to drive out here during the nighttime, because who knows like what the traffic, what the people are going to be driving like, like especially closer to like the downtown area. And I'm just like sitting there, trying to think, okay, like if I'm going to want to eat somewhere on a Saturday night, especially like this close to like in town area, I could probably expect to wait for a little bit, and who knows, like if I have to make reservations, some of these things I didn't really think about during that time. And I'm like, if I would have done this like as soon as I got back, I probably would have got out a little bit sooner. But I guess the positive thing in a way is that I did get to experience, because I waited a little bit, I got to experience the nighttime setting. Driving at night is definitely, it's a lot more to consider and to take in, than driving during the day, because you can see everything. And I'm glad that I got a little bit of nighttime driving experience in or around town, because it's nice to have a little bit of both, driving during the day and night, to kind of see how the atmosphere and how the driving is like, as far as my navigation skills and using GPS to be able to get around. You don't want to be too afraid to take those opportunities, because now that I've experienced them, I'll be a little more comfortable maybe driving in or around town when it comes to the night or day setting. So I went to this restaurant called Sawa, which was in Coral Gables, and I'm kind of glad that I waited a little bit to get there. So when I did, I expected, from what I saw on the menu, I expected this to be maybe more of like an Oriental type of establishment, but there were a lot of Latin people working there. It was mostly Latin people working there. So I was definitely surprised a little bit when I was seeing like fried rice and sushi. Seeing sushi and like fried rice, I was kind of thinking, it would be that kind of a restaurant. But they had shawarma, and I've never had shawarma before. They had a beef shawarma bowl, and it was for a really decent price. And I'm like, I'm gonna get that. So as soon as I get there, I'm greeted by my waitress, and she gives me a menu, and I'm looking through it, and I see the shawarma. I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely going with that. And she says, well, it's past lunchtime, and she kind of gives me this look and turns over the page, and I'm like, oh, okay, here's all the dinner items, $60, $50, $45. I'm like, oh man, so luckily I'm on the gifted allowance, that my warehouse gave me to be able to travel and do all this stuff. So I ended up getting a salmon with balsamic rice, tahini, which I had never had tahini before, so it was actually pretty good. Definitely a good mix with the salmon itself. And I had a salad with Caesar dressing and croutons, but that wasn't like the surprise of the night. So I'm sitting there, about to eat the salad, and then they turn the music up, and it's Latin oriented music, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. What's going on? Because they turned it on, but then they like really kind of cranked up the volume a little bit, and a dancer comes out, and she starts putting on a show, and it was definitely something I was not expecting to see at all. Definitely a surprise to myself, and it was fantastic. She was in rhythm. Her first act, she kind of had what almost looked like butterfly type of neon LED wings. And she was just doing a dance with it, where she was twirling around, to the rhythm of the music. She was on beat. She was great. She was great. And she noticed that when people were taking photos and or like doing video, and she would get a little more personal, in the video, which that's great, for somebody that is, for a performer, being very open with, with their craft and whatnot. It was great to just see how comfortable, she was in this element, performing for people, and, being a little more personal when it comes to, getting close to the camera and stuff. It was awesome. And then, for her next routine, she brings out what looks to be a samurai sword, and she starts balancing it on her side, on her head, while she's still keeping in rhythm with the music and doing her routine. It was phenomenal. She was great, and she was just so beautiful. And I think she had a third routine. I'm not 100% sure if I can remember exactly what she was doing. But I mean, as far as like the element that she was using that was standing out, as far as like the wings she used and the samurai sword she used, it was a great surprise. Just I had a great time being able to actually go and experience that. And like I said, I'm glad that I waited, because I probably would not have been able to catch something like that had I not waited until the evening time. So definitely gave her a tip, and my waitress, she was very kind. Her name was Virginia. And she was very beautiful as well. So like I said, Miami is just, filled with beautiful people, left and right. And it was nice to have those interpersonal experiences, to talk with some of these people, to just kind of see how things are going for them in that city, because it is a very tough city to live in when it does come to income, and when it comes to job opportunities. There's jobs, but is it livable? And that was definitely something enlightening, to hear from someone like Virginia, who she talked a little bit about her time living in the city, but she says that she's making it work, and she wouldn't have it any other way. So that was very nice to get that experience from her. And like I said, she was very kind, and she did everything that she's trained to do and whatnot. So that was all great. That was all great. The next weekend, I think, was weekend number 6 at that point. So I think I had that weekend I needed to cook. And what I was doing was I was cooking for about a 2-week to almost a 3-week period. And what was actually great about this experience too is that I was able to kind of, I guess you can say, pace myself as far as what I eat, because we were given a more limited variety when it comes to the living situation. So all I had was a mini fridge and a sink. There was no stove. So what I did was I bought a skillet and I made burgers. And usually, you know, when I like to cook, I like to cook for the week. So so I don't have to, you know, utilize more time to be able to, or have to utilize more time to have to cook, you know, throughout the week process, because my work hours are 10-hour days, and you know, sometimes I only get maybe like an hour or two before it's actually time to go to work. So the nice thing is that I will cook on like a weekend, and I'll cook for the week. That way that, you know, I'll have leftovers that I can just heat up and they taste just as fine as they did the day that I cooked them. And I can take the rest of the time that I'm saving during the week to be able to get into other things, you know, even when it comes down to making videos and working on editing and that sort of thing. So what I usually do is I'll usually have 2 burgers a night, right? You know, that usually fulfills me for a dinner. But when I was down here, I wanted to stretch this out as much as possible, and I also wanted to work on my body strength and my body recovery in a way, because if anybody knows me, they know that I've had a kind of an ongoing injury from last year that peaked its head again, because it's been something that has kind of been dormant since 2014. That was when I originally messed my back up, and I was trying to work out around May, honestly, around this time last year, and I had more weight on me, and I was trying to do a little bit too much. I had a particular workout routine freely that I would do here, and I was just doing a little bit too hard, and I threw my back out, and it wasn't too terrible at first. Like, I somewhat recovered, but I don't think I gave myself enough time to fully recover, and I accidentally made it even worse around, I think, the time of June, I think, was when I really like threw it out. So at this point I had to take about a month off, and you know, I wasn't working, and I was going to physical therapy to recover. But you know, long story short, I was kind of not sure, you know, on the physical side, am I going to be able to handle 6 days working down here? Because I wasn't sure exactly how the work setting was going to be, because at my typical work setting now, I get more time to sit, you know, for most of the day. And that was kind of helping my back recover a little more, even though, you know, being up and walking around is definitely the go-to when it does come to this kind of injury. You would think that rest and, you know, not putting so much, you know, weight and strain on your back would be the ideal thing, but actually getting up and walking around is what will help you re-strengthen yourself down there. So, you know, that's what I was concerned about. You know, I don't know if I'm going to be standing most of the day. I don't know if I'm going to be sitting most of the day, and I don't know if I'm going to be bending over. You know, what things am I going to be doing as far as that's concerned? So I can say, you know, for the benefit of all this, luckily I did have a place or two where I could sit and kind of rest myself, because most of the setting down there was kind of standing in place and or walking around. And this building was twice as big as mine. So walking from one end to another, when it comes to going and doing, you know, the work duties that I was assigned to do, it was twice as strenuous in that way, you know, when it comes to just the amount of steps that you're taking. But you know, back to the food. So what I did was instead of eating 2 burgers for a meal, I decided to eat 1, so it would give me twice as much, you know, throughout the days that I would work, and that way I would be cooking less, and you know, spending less money, cooking less, and then, you know, seeing if I can actually, you know, kind of portion my food a little bit better, you know, for my body, and you know, for the sake of the duration of things. That way I could see, you know, if this could work. And luckily it did. I was kind of surprised in a way, but I was eating less, I was running around more, and this hotel had a tiny workout room that was probably the size, I'd say, of like this wall to maybe where that maybe where that like bookshelf is. It's a little bit, I'd say maybe about like 7 or 8 feet. So you're talking maybe like a 10 by 10 room. And all it had was an elliptical and a treadmill. The treadmill is what I used first because I wanted to kind of just, stick with walking to kind of see how, this would turn out. So I used it one time. I used it twice, and I walked for about maybe like 20-30 minutes. I think I walked for what would have been like a mile in length. And there were times where I kind of felt a little more comfortable, like physicality wise, where I would turn it up and I would jog a little bit. I would throw in the incline, but I'm telling you, this treadmill has some issues. Let's just say that. So there were times where I'd be on like a certain speed and all of a sudden it would just slow down, and it would speed back up, and you're not thinking of these things happening. They just happen. So I'm starting to kind of run a little bit too fast and I'm like, okay, I need to like back it off a little bit. So, I couldn't handle like the inconsistency with it because once you get going, you want to keep going until it's time to stop or where you feel satisfied. And I felt like it was being a little bit too, all over the place. So I was like, I don't know if I can do this. So I decided to turn to the elliptical, and I had not really used the elliptical that much, but from what I can gather, it definitely helps with a lot of key points in your body, especially with my legs, and being able to strengthen my legs a little more when it comes to the duration of time that I'm standing at work, walking back and forth and whatnot. So what I did was I just focused on doing a 30-minute, started out with as a 20-minute workout at first on the elliptical, and then I increased it to 30, and I only did this once a week. I would do this either on a day off or like a day I wasn't traveling, or I would try to kind of fit it in there like maybe a couple hours before work. That way, after the workout it concludes, I can take some time to rest up a little bit before I go in and do a 10-hour day. It helped me lose weight, it strengthened my legs, and it actually helped me strengthen my back to where that's what I was concerned with, is whether or not my back was going to be able to handle that motion with your legs, that when you're going like this, as far as like the motion is like the running motion, when you're using an elliptical, I was using it in a forward motion and a backward motion. I would do 5 minutes forward, 5 minutes backwards, and I would just alternate until I hit the 30-minute mark. And like I said, with the amount that I was eating less and I was running around more and using this elliptical, it helped me lose weight. It helped me strengthen my legs, and my back feels like it is in a better spot now than what it was before I left. Before I left, I was actually kind of still having some like issues back there where I wasn't honestly sure if I was going to be able to handle it. But I thank the Lord that things worked out, if you know what I mean. Once I got through my final couple weeks, like I was on my way back. I'll just kind of backtrack a tiny bit. I was on my way back from Miami, and I was just looking at some of the road signs when I was going through exits, and I saw that Kennedy Space Center is along that area. It's actually on Merritt Island, which is on the east side of Florida. And I was telling myself, this is definitely an opportunity to unleash my love for space and exploration and all that kind of stuff. And I really wanted to give this an opportunity. So it was my last week there. I think it was the week that I was leaving. And on that Saturday, I ended up getting a ticket for myself to go to Kennedy Space Center, and it was definitely a thrilling ride, to say the least. I mean, again, even the drive there was fantastic. Now, there was this place I drove by on the way there, and I can't remember if this place was like right outside of Orlando. I feel like it was close to Orlando. It was this place called, I think it was called Edgewater or Water's Edge, something like that. And this was what it looked to be like a construction area of miles. We're talking miles. I mean, it had to have been like 10 plus miles of construction, and it looked like they were neighborhood developments. It looked like they were just developing an entire town, and it was just crazy. I mean, from what they had already kind of started developing, it was pretty beautiful to say the least. But my gosh, I could not believe what I was seeing just driving through there. I mean, it just sincerely just looked like they were just building an entire town. But yeah, I mean, you know, it was kind of nuts just seeing that, and just seeing some of the homes down there. Some of the homes in the neighborhoods, they were just so beautiful to see. You know, I drove by this place called what was it called? Oh no, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'll put it in the video below. What was it called though? I'm gonna have to look it up. But anyway, this place was so beautiful. It was a great looking town. Had everything there. The neighborhoods, like the surrounding neighborhoods, were so beautiful looking. The homes were big and gorgeous. So anyway, you know, back to Kennedy Space Center. So it was just so neat, you know, just driving across like the roadway where you just have like water on this side, because you're driving to Merritt Island, and from like miles away you can just see the huge building with like the NASA symbol on it. And I saw that while I was driving. I was like, that says NASA on the side, I'm pretty sure. When I got there, I got to see the famous countdown clock, like as soon as you get there, and it was really cool because there was a launch that was like 11 hours out. Had I known this information, you know, maybe I could have seen something, because it was really cool how they described how there's public viewings of the rockets when they launch, and you can actually pay for tickets to go to the bleachers where they have this set up and be able to see the rockets take off, you know, when they do. And that was like very enjoyable, you know, to hear you know, some of the things that you can actually, you know, do there. And just for one of the tickets that I got the bus tour, and it takes you from the visitor complex down to the Saturn V, and there was something else there. I can't remember off the top of my head. Like I'll have to look at some of the photos and whatnot. But the bus tour was great because you got to see some of the launch sites from like a distance, and they actually did have a they did have a rocket that was actually posted at one of the launch sites, which was pretty cool. But they go through, you know, a lot of the history of the NASA, you know, how they started out, you know, they when they drive past, you know, like specific buildings and whatnot, they talk about how, you know, this is where like the astronauts stay when a mission is up and coming. The island sits on 144,000 plus acre nature reserve, so it's home to a lot of wild animals. I think we saw like a raccoon just kind of hanging out like in the middle of the street, and then it, like, once it saw the bus, it started to scurry off, and saw some wild boar. Now I was sitting on I think I was sitting on the left side of the bus, and, you know, we're driving down, and every time our navigating host was calling out like the alligators. There were alligators like everywhere, and I was always on the side where I couldn't see the alligators. You know, I was kind of peeking over, but I was trying to give people their space and not really trying to be in anybody's like personal area, you know, when it came to that, because I'm sure I'd be able to see an alligator at some point in whatever. And I actually did. There was one kind of poking its head up like out of one of the ponds, so that was kind of cool. But on the during the bus tour, we took a couple stops to like step outside, and there were a couple like famous pieces of like equipment and things that they had kind of laid out at a few of the stops. Like one of them was like one of like the famous like walkways that the astronauts use to go from one place, you know, to where they board up to the shuttle, which was really neat. And then when we went to the Saturn V site, the rocket is inside this facility where they have it like broken down into different pieces, and it's all like lined up like in this hallway that goes from like down here all the way down to the other side. And they have like various shops, you know, from like one side to the other. Be careful if you go in there and buy anything, just because, you know, price is going to be a little bit high and whatnot. But you know, they just had some reenactments taking place where you could go in and you can watch some videos on like the Apollo missions, and they had like the whole they had like the whole area where like all the not the astronauts, but the personnel for NASA are awaiting like the Apollo 1 like launch, and they had the sitting in like this little arena area where, you know, outside you can see like the sky looks like it's changing, and the place is rumbling a little bit to try to give you that same real life perspective of you really being there as soon as the shuttle's taking off. So that, you know, that was really cool. And just seeing all the artifacts and whatnot that they had from the space missions, and you know, from the famous Apollo missions. You know, they had astronauts gear and their equipment, stuff they brought back from the moon. Once you take the bus back, it takes you back to the visitor complex. At that point in time, I think I only had maybe like an hour and a half left. So I wanted to check out the Atlantis shuttle, and that was, you know, a spectacle in itself. You know, I think this was, I can't remember what Apollo mission it's from, but they have pictures up on the walls and descriptions of the different shuttles that have taken off for the Apollo missions, even the ones that actually did not make it to their intended destinations, which was you know, very interesting to see. And the Apollo shuttle was just how it was positioned, where they had like the top of it completely open, and you could literally look at it from like one side to the next. I think we were it was the Atlantis shuttle, that is. We watched like a video, you know, that was going through the trial and error of, you know, mankind trying to get themselves, you know, from the ground, you know, to the stars. And that was you know, that was a really interesting story, you know, to take in, you know, to see, you know, how much work and how much effort and how many times, you know, it really took like America, you know, and just man in general to, you know, get themselves off of the ground and into the atmosphere. And it was cool because like at the end of it, they just open up like the doors, and the shuttle Atlantis is like right there. You're viewing it, and it is like, oh wow, that's really awesome. And then, you know, just throughout like the area, they had they had tour guides also that would kind of give you some brief history on the different missions, and they would talk about, you know, certain things when it comes to that. So I filmed, you know, a couple of those guys talking about that stuff. So that was really cool. And after Atlantis, it's like I had like barely enough time to go visit the Mars exhibit, which was really cool. They had like the land rovers and whatnot that took off into some of the missions. Now, I think most of them were replicas, but I can't remember off the top of my head if there was actually one or two that were actual models that actually went to Mars and came back, or, you know, however that works. I'm not really 100% sure even if any of them actually have come back. I do not know. So, but it was still cool, you know, being able to, you know, go through there. And plus my time like in the Mars exhibit was a little bit quicker because I was really trying to kind of see as much as I could see at that point, while not really being so much short on time, because that was at that point when closing time was coming, and I was really just trying to kind of rush to see as much as I could. And then I think the last thing I saw might have been virtual reality type of adventures where you can put yourself like in a cockpit and put, you know, a little visor, you know, over your head to be able to kind of make it look like, oh, I'm an astronaut taking off and all this stuff. So you know, that stuff was pretty quick when it comes to, you know, what I saw with that. I kind of just walked around the area and, you know, just again, just trying to see as much as I could. I think during the Atlantis mission, they had a mechanical bridge to the shuttle or something like that, so that was cool to be able to walk on, you know, top of that. You know, I decided to reenact some stuff, pretending I was an astronaut, you know, ready to venture into the stars beyond. And then they had some replica instruments and stuff looked like inside the shuttle. They had a spot where you could sit, and they had like a little cockpit area where, you know, I'm taking control. It looks like I'm taking control of the shuttle itself as we are heading to Mars, or about to land back safely on Earth. So yeah, like I said, you know, there was so much that I was able to do, and it feels like, you know, out of this 2-month period, it feels like, you know, I got to do as much as I really wanted. Like I said, you know, I intended to take, you know, my 1 day off to do, you know, some of the exploration that I did, as far as, you know, the traveling and the extra fun things that I was able to throw in there. And I felt like it was a complete trip. You know, I got everything out of it that I wanted to get out of it when it comes to something that I was needing. I was definitely in need of. And I feel like when I stopped doing videos, you know, back in February, that was what I was not expecting, but it was just an opportunity that it's just like, I cannot pass this up. Like, I have to take this opportunity because it was the refresher I absolutely needed. And so, you know, coming back, you know, from the trip and coming into back into my place, it felt like I definitely needed to take time to clean up and, you know, get myself back to my normal schedule. You know, that's why as soon as I came back, you know, I wasn't really willing to like jump into anything just yet. I wanted to take some time to get used to my schedule when it comes to, you know, my sleep schedule, my work schedule, all of that. Just, you know, gave myself a couple weeks is about how long it took before I decided to turn on the camera and let it all come out. So if you guys want to see more stuff like this, I don't really do like a whole lot of stuff like this, but I can tell you that what I really would like to do, because I haven't done it yet, I have not edited any of my vlog from when I went to California, and I really have been sitting on that for too long. So if you guys want to see some of that stuff, or you want to see more stuff like this, you know, just let me know, and you can stay connected to the channel if you would like to. And if you guys have any comments you want to throw in, you know, about everything, or, you know, you just want to talk about, you know, what you're going through as well, you know, you can leave a comment down below, and I'll be sure to start up a conversation with you and all that. And if you enjoyed this video and the experiences that I had to tell, you can go ahead and throw a like on there. I would appreciate that, and I will catch you guys when we are ready to continue the next saga. Have a good one.
One small step for man, one giant leap